Hi, Rajiv, may I start? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's nice to be connected actually in the middle of a work day for all the working parents and even those who stay at home. Kind of unusual for us to connect at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Perhaps lockdown times has made us embrace a reality that we were unfamiliar with, and with that comes a huge set of opportunities. Thank you so much, Entab, for this initiative. And I think it's wonderful to be able to connect to fellow parents, teachers, students, everyone who's watching in. A little about me before we begin. I'm Fatema Agarkar, by the way, the founder of the Agarkar Centre of Excellence. And I've had the fortune of being in this industry for the last 20 years, a veteran of 3 educational startups. I've been there, done it. I've been a managing trustee, a managing director of a chain of schools, including preschools, high schools, and the school for special needs. I've been a consultant to many stellar promoters who've set up schools. I've been a mentor to many teams. I've built many schools. But my passion is the child. I'm a middle schooler's mother, so I have a 14-year-old who keeps me grounded and keeps it real. But today I'm really here to talk to you as a fellow parent. Been in this industry for so long. I'm so glad that there are fellow entrepreneurs and organizations like Entab. They share the same journey as I have, 20 years in this industry and doing some pioneering work, bringing communities together. I love their school campus. I love their magazine content that is thought-provoking, pioneering, and again, thank you, Entab, for allowing me to have this virtual conversation with your community. Right, so today's topic, and when Rajiv spoke to me, and thanks Seema Negi for this introduction, I truly appreciate all the educators getting us together. So when Rajiv spoke to me, he said, "Ma'am, what would the topic of our conversation be?" And I just simply said, can we just admit as adults that we're not superheroes? I think that title today is reserved for all government officials, the BMC, the cops, and the true superheroes, the medical staff. I think we, as citizens, as laymen, are just making sense of these sensitive times. I was actually talking to my son about 3 months ago. Well, this was in Jan when the whole news of COVID-19 broke out in China, and he had a cough, and he said, "Mama, what are the symptoms? I mean, do I have it?" And I remember back then saying, "Don't be silly. This is just a cough. This is just a cold." And I think you and I today realize how perhaps misguided we were, how ill-informed we were. So we're facing this reality, and we don't have answers. And quite frankly, I don't know anyone who actually knows what the right solution is, what is the right approach to deal with it. We're taking on roles at home, of course, that we had already outsourced. If you're a working professional, you know how you depended on your domestic team to help you out. If you were a stay-at-home mom or dad, you still used a lot of that help. Um, I think it's made us think that there are things that we could have done independently as well. We did not figure it out. And it's okay to admit that. It's okay to say that we're learning, we're coping. Even after these 14 days of being in lockdown, I don't think we still know what to do tomorrow. It's almost like every day you wake up, you're just looking at statistics that tell you, okay, the rates have gone up, the graph is more steeper. Singapore's lockdown. Now Canada's saying this. China, it's broken up again. We seem to be following world news and, of course, what's happening in our country. Statistics that are coming out, and we're just getting overwhelmed. please be aware that these are difficult times. Of course, you have to be aware of what's happening. So when your chief minister, the Honorable Uddhav Thackeray today has made a statement to say wear masks, let's follow people who are in that position to advise us, but let's not create this pandemic ourselves. Let's not fuel discussion points that don't need that attention. Let's first try and cope as a family. Leave the world, the country, the city to officials who are going to do it. So stop on those WhatsApp chats that are telling you this is happening and that is happening. First figure out what you can do as an adult in your house. And this conversation is specifically for parents who are coping with the fact that they can't go to work. We have a small family at home. I have my husband and my son who goes to school. He's on a virtual school. My husband is a sportsman. We love to play sport all the time. He loves to be on a golf course. And as much as he loves his family, I think it's unusual for him to be locked with the confines of his house. But I think he's learned to cope with it. And I'm sharing some lessons with him. He can't run on the road or in the building. He can't go to the gym because that's under lockdown. So what do? You then look at YouTube videos to give you that option to do that exercise because that's a non-negotiable. Honestly, I think we need to rethink about what we're doing. Stop complaining. Yeah, you can't go out, you can't meet your friends. Therefore, house party is doing really well. Get on those calls. Zoom has that option for you to connect with your family. Of course, you can't meet them. They're fine. If they weren't, you would someone would reach out to you. So I think stop worrying about everyone else. Like I said, start thinking about what you can do. Simple things. If you are a gym freak and an exercise freak, accept that you can't go out. Accept that you can't use those machines and accept that you can't socialize with your trainers. You're going to have to figure that out online. It is possible. And I understand all of us in Bombay, we live in little boxes. It's not the luxury that some of the other houses have in the rest of the country. But you know what? I don't think exercise takes 500 square feet of space. It's just that mat. It's you. It's you just following a routine and a discipline. So that's going to be important for a lot of you to understand that instead of cribbing and being on the WhatsApp and getting depressed about the fact that, this is the best way to do it, why don't you figure it out? Why don't you realize that, listen, I'm no superhero. I'm not this perfect parent. I'm not this perfect mother or father. I have my own set of challenges, which is I don't have my drivers, I don't have my maid. I have to do it myself. So let me wake up. Let me sort out the domestic chores. Let me make sure that people in my family also help out. I'm not supposed to do everything. I think the delegation of work is called collaboration in my mind. And I don't think this is gender specific. I don't think the women have to cook and clean. I think the men can contribute and probably they are better cleaners than us. So I think we have to make sure that this is teamwork, get everyone involved. I'm also very concerned about our own health. Uh, One is we're using fresh produce and we're not using processed food, so that's great. But I think the overeating, there's lack of things to do, so indulge in a lot of that will add up to problems. I remember this is actually an honest confession. I remember when I was pregnant and on bed rest, I tended to eat a little more, and with no exercise, you become a balloon. Honestly, I remember my doc telling me that, Fatima, it's easy to put on. It's very difficult after this whole period of confinement is over to get back. So think about it, and you know what? That's something that we need to think about. Let's realize whatever we're putting in needs to have an exercise routine in place, and therefore doing chores around the house, moving around all the time from room to room, picking up, doing stuff, bending, all of that attributes to that physical exercise, honestly, that creates better hormones in the body that keeps us a little more sane. I think indulge in a bit of humor. Do take that time to watch television that's funny, to keep us all intact because we need to laugh. For me, and I'm going to share some secrets that work for me, I need that dose of Friends or Seinfeld or anything, Kapil Sharma show, anything that can make you laugh because that's very important. Of course, they're depressing times. Every time I switch on the television, It's just that thought that perhaps this lockdown will not happen as we thought, and maybe we will be in a lockdown, at least in Mumbai, a little longer for the sake of our city and the sake of our community. We cannot cry about it. We cannot say, oh God, what will we do? We're going to have to find ways. So for me, humor, exercise, doing work around the house is great. Again, a personal story. I'm an entrepreneur. This is my third educational startup, and I'm going to say it's a COVID-19 start for me. I launched on the day we were in lockdown. I can't say that what will happen. I'm inventing ways, I'm finding ways to connect, to stay in touch with my clients, to create more. Even if you've never worked in your life, what's stopping you from going online and skilling? Whether it's cooking, exercise, a course that you want to do, which you never had the time for, why don't you take that free time and do stuff like that? It's very easy to come up with excuses and saying life is terrible. There are plenty of jokes around to say that perhaps the divorce law, BBC video about that maybe a lot of babies will be born. Maybe families finally figured out how to talk to each other instead of WhatsApp messages. Face to face, having a dialogue. You learn to accept what each one is. I've accepted that I am no superhero. I am not able to do everything and I need help. And I think that's a great starting point for all of us. What? Use opportunity to make do with so many free resources. There are chat groups, there are groups for women who are going through depression, there are groups for entrepreneurs that need strategies to cope with these changing times. There are plenty of educational sites out there to help your children and help you be that perfect mom if you want to. There's everything available. But you know what? I think humor exists. I think catch up on movies. Those of you who don't like to read, I'm going to say there are enough documentaries out there that keep you entertained. Find something. My big message to fellow parents is that stop complaining. I think we have a roof over our head. We have food. We have our loved ones near us. Everyone's safe. Think about those migrant workers that are still out there. So, count your blessings and really count them well. Um, Find those old photos that remind you of the times that you miss. Use social media to share, to vent out, to have opinions. Use it positively. And I think that's what the Prime Minister actually initiated with getting all of us to light that candle, wasn't it? It was about creating a sense of community, getting us all together and to say, there are tough times ahead. It's not going to end. I reckon that this will continue, and perhaps this is going to be our life. We may be wearing masks for the next 8 months. So what? We stop living? Or we say, okay, we cope with it, but at least we're meeting our friends using a mask. I think let's look forward to a lot. Please use this time to communicate. Families, there are lots, whether it's Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, um, house party apps. There's plenty of ways of virtually connecting. Um, Someone's just asked me, and sorry, I actually had looked at all the questions. What is the greatest challenge for us as educators today? I think we're under pressure. I think we're under some serious pressure because we are doing three things. We're concerned about the children and their mental health because we hadn't prepared them enough with life skills. This is now going to be an integral part of the K to 12 education. We're going to make sure we recognize technology is here to stay. Companies like Entab have already done a lot, are there, are available. Did we make enough use of it? Perhaps not. We fought technology instead of embracing it. And I think today that's the single most important thing educators are talking about. We're also going to make sure we're not grading the kids and giving out content that's irrelevant. For me, I think my biggest project when the kids come back is, put together this COVID-19. Tell me facts. Tell me what SARS did 22 years ago. Tell me what we didn't learn. Tell me what happened with the plague 100 years ago. Why didn't science progress in that way? Using relevant information. I'm going to talk about it as global perspectives. That is what educators are thinking about, and thank God we're thinking. Finally, we're not speaking about a volatile world. We're the ones living it, and therefore we have to come up with solutions for it. Fine tune and enhance ourselves. Guys, this is not just about educators. This is about us as individuals, as people, as adults. I'm still a mom. I'm still a wife. I'm still a daughter-in-law. I'm still a daughter as well and a sister. And I have cousins. I have a very sick aunt who's bedridden at home today, thanks to the healthcare services who are protecting. But I know because I was working and always traveling, I never made the time for my family. Here's the opportunity to do it. Don't, 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 uh, um, don't ignore it. Don't misuse it. Use it to connect back. And you know what? When we're out of this, when we are talking to our grandchildren, it'll almost seem like after the war, what did we learn? And there are many lessons for all of us. Write a book. There's so much that you can do for yourself. First, figure out yourself, your immediate family, and then figure out your building, your neighborhood, and the country. I think leave the job to the experts. You first figure out your own house. Guys, I want to point out a lot of these counselors and psychiatrists have been speaking to me. A lot of them have told me, and this is very scary. So, parents, if you're listening, students, if you're listening, a lot of them are reaching out to helplines because they're depressed, because they don't know what to do with themselves. They're unable to occupy themselves and they're going through depression because they need to have that coffee in the physical world with their friend. They're unable to talk to their parents because their parents are not listening to them or just judging them. I know I was counseling this mother and son, and the mother said, you know what, he doesn't appreciate anything. He doesn't appreciate that he's got all the gadgets in the world, all the facilities. We even have a mini gym, but all the time he's sulky and depressed. And when I spoke to the kid, he said, I'm grateful. I'm very grateful for whatever my family has given me, and we're very affluent. But Fatima, ma'am, I am just saying that I'm feeling sad. Can someone recognize that? And can I not have to be this perfect child who wakes up in the morning with a smile on the face? It's not going to happen. So I think we need to be realistic about what we're expecting out of each other. And anyone who jumps out from the bed with a smile on the face, that would be me. We're in the minority. A lot of the people wake up saying, "Oh God, what now?" Okay, let them be. It's okay. Everyone doesn't have to be in a happy space. Everyone's coping. Just let people be. Right. So connecting with people during technology. Thank you, Rakesh, for mentioning it. Guys, let's not fight technology. This is not about screen time. This is not about glare. And I keep saying it in educational conferences as well. Today, the gadgets that we use have the glare down to now 90% anti-glare. There's no problem. Of course, if you're online 10 hours a day, that's normal. You know, for every hour that you're online, do some physical work, walk around, wash some dishes, tidy up the closet all over again. Do something that takes you away from the gadgets to give your mind that break. Balance it out. My golden rule is 5 hours online, 5 hours some sort of physical activity, even if it means talking to your family face to face in your house, not using technology. Okay, how do we control anxieties? Thanks, Shashir. Very important. This is my confession to you. Just before I got on, I was actually looking at all the vegetables in my kitchen. I was saying, I need the onions, I need the chilies, I need this, I need that. Now, the bhajiwala has already come and gone in the building. So now I'll have to go out. And now Chief Minister said I need to wear a mask. So of course, I have all those thoughts. You know what? Find an alternative for some of the things. So first, accept that you might be anxious. Talk about it. My go-to strategy is writing it down. When I write it down, I realize how silly and how foolish I've been about what I'm worrying about. If I don't have onions one day, I am not going to die. I'm going to find an alternative. I'll eat Maggie. So I'm going to say that we're going to have to figure out rationing out and priorities on what we want to be stressed about. There are lots and lots and lots of people online available. There's a helpline for every age, every category, from senior citizens to this. You just have to Google and you'll find a list of these sites. They're all available for you to pick up the phone and talk to them if you want a non-biased judgment on what you feel. Please recognize anything that you feel is important at this point, and it's better you talk to someone and get them to clarify it. At ACE, I'm going to say we're available if you need us to help you in any ways. You can Google us. I'm on Facebook. I'm also on Insta, and I'm on LinkedIn. Send me a message. We'd be happy to provide strategies. One way of coping with anxiety, honestly, like I said, write it down, park it. Don't think about it beyond what you've written down, and take those 10 minutes for yourself, calm yourself down. It does wonders. We do this a lot with children when they feel hyper and anxious in classrooms. You can actually do that. And I want to tell you, it's time tested, it's working. When it borders down to palpitations and anxiety attacks, there's a difference between being anxious and the anxiety attacks. You will need to consult a specialist. I am no specialist. There are child psychiatrists, adult psychiatrists, psychologists, special educators available to help you, because that is a clinical process, and I don't think laymen should contribute to it. Walking, physical activity does actually help the body regulate a lot. It does reduce anxiety down. You will have to listen to what nutritionalists tell you, that food is a big play. So if it is junk food, it's your comfort food of crisp ice cream, sugary stuff, it will add on to your anxiety levels. Substitute that with food, substitute that with walking. I think pacing in your own house will help calm those nerves, but recognize whether you're being anxious or it's an anxiety attack, and definitely reach out for help. And you also talk about online content that is being created and available for teachers and students to pursue teaching learning activities. Thanks, Professor Sharma, for asking that. Guys, there's a lot out there today. There are free sites, there are companies like Scholastic or Square Panda. All of these are available, free resources in terms of what they have curated over the years. I think it's very important to pick resources that are relevant, that are well curated content. And the good way of doing it would be to follow magazines that are putting out stars for them. Like Education World often has these resources. I follow a magazine called Tech and Learning. It's a US-based magazine. It always curates some of the best online resources available. There are a lot of Facebook groups, if you can actually subscribe to it, either CBSE, ICSE, Cambridge, or IB. They have a lot of good curated content for online teaching, learning. Anyway, like I said, post this lockdown, and as I know, as educators, we're already doing it. We're working with Edtech companies to create that virtual learning platform ready for it. So you might want to look at that. Um, Yes, it's so Ruchi, you've said it's a good time to enhance ourselves rather than go in depression. But Ruchi, sometimes it's easier said than done, right? I don't want to be depressed, but I wake up one day and I feel low. I actually miss my team, my team of 20 to be there. So it's not that I want to feel depressed, but I am. So therefore, the conversation today is to help you get out of it, or actually steer you away from getting there. Like I said, first thing in the morning, if you can not get on the news, first thing in the morning, if you can get your metabolic rate up by doing some sort of physical activity, even pacing yourself, walking. You guys have staircases at home. Use them to go up and down. Even at 8 or 10 minute workout in the morning, this creates better energy around. Then have your cup of warm water. You've got to have to change certain things. Dousing yourself with sugary tea is something that I used to do. I've actually had a lifestyle change as well, and I realized I can't. I can't have my coffee and my tea because I'm going to land up feeling tired by 11, and I have a long day ahead. With all my responsibilities. So I think you're going to have to think about that. Um, Okay, how would you approach different learning styles? Brilliant question, Rajiv. Thanks. Very true, especially for children, for middle schoolers and adults. All our children work differently. So I have actually been very vocal about the fact schools who are getting their kids to wear uniforms and sit in front of the laptop on Zoom or Google Classroom with their uniform with the other kids and their teachers for 8 hours at a stretch is unusual and not normal. And in my mind, very simply, very artificial. Your child is not in a classroom. Your child is at home. I think, being in comfortable attires, whether it's sweatpants, track pants, or a t-shirt, make it normal, because some of these kids may need time off if they're kinesthetic learners. They need it to get up, walk around a bit, move around, and then listen. Of course, the audio and the visual ones would love this, sedate. So as teachers, as educators, even on live sessions, we moderate it. I know if I'm in a group of 30 kids, these two are my ones who definitely need a break. I actually signal time out. I have these cues. So I do this, those kids in that group that now need to take a walk and come back. I clap for those kids who I know will not be able to see me, but they're listening to me, to say now it's important that you get on the screen to see what I'm putting out there. You can't only listen to me. So we have tricks and tools, even virtually, to control what we do in a classroom. Right. How do you encourage the students to express their creativity? Wow, wow. I wish I had a perfect answer for this one. I'm going to say, you know what? All our kids are very, very different. I don't know if you know, but there's a WhatsApp going on a time capsule called COVID-19 time capsule. When we all emerged from this, we would have recorded every bit of what we did. Uh, Again, honest confession, this is my son who finds it very, very difficult to be creative. He's very expressive with his words, but he's not going to color and he's not going to draw and sketch and record, and he's not going to do all of that. All he's written are 2 lines, and I think that's good enough. What I have encouraged him to do is watch a few more videos. He saves them in his Google Drive to say, okay. So I think creativity is not just about this perfect presentation and these beautiful words to articulate what you're feeling. I think creativity is in different ways. A lot of them are just clicking photographs. Allow them that time. This is the one time they're allowed to actually be who they are and not those superheroes that we want them to be in their classrooms. Like I said, my topic is we're not superheroes. Let's not try to be, let's actually be normal human beings for it. So encouraging kids to express creativity, simply if you can show them of YouTube links. YouTubers are doing a lot to express themselves. Let them find their own way of what we mean by creativity. Okay, any more questions for me that I can answer? I'm just going to quickly scroll to say, okay, so here's a question. Someone's asked me, what teams or clubs or extracurricular activities were you involved in school? So this is a funny story. I was a nice, plump child who completely detested anything physical when I was in school. I think it was just the fact that I felt I was overweight, and people would laugh if I run, and maybe I didn't have the right technique. And anyway, back in our days, if you weren't 1, 2, 3, no one really looked at you. So my big play to be in education was to actually work with children who I call, like me, the happy-go-lucky ones, who usually get ignored because I wasn't going to light the stage on fire with my oratory skills or with my theater expressions. Funny, married to a sportsman. My son's a sportsman, and I fight and I bat for children to play sport, irrespective of their body type, because I just think it gives you a lot of life skills. You learn to work with a team. So the clubs I was associated were publications, um, magazines, stuff like that, which I think were my core skills. But I wish someone had noticed and pushed me to play a sport, because that's what I'm pushing others to do now. You don't have to be, a Tendulkar. You can just be an ordinary human being and just use it as a lifestyle skill and be fit. I think a lot of us would have saved ourselves a lot of anxiety growing up had we exposed ourselves to that. Right. So some of the things that you need to also, be aware of is that there's a lot happening on Insta. That is very useful. A lot of ladies are out there with their recipes. There's a lot of information about world news. If you follow National Geographic or science feeds, please follow those. Facebook is actually going very, very active. Lots of people out there to share content, be available to discuss, to have a chat. You know what? You can actually do it yourselves. Create your own group, create your own community, and share. A lot of people will like you to take the lead. So this is one thing that you can pick up on. And I've actually seen an amazing forward. It's actually a very cute clip that says that post this lockdown, if you haven't picked up any skill, I think COVID-19 has failed humanity. It's funny. So pick up on those skills. Plenty of time to do that. Rajiv, are we good for time? Hi. Right. Anyone else with any questions? Can they come through? I'll be happy to answer them, because I think my big communication today was celebrate the fact that we're ordinary human beings faced with extraordinary circumstances and situations, and we're trying our best and we're doing our best, and collectively we're coping with the directive of the government and the state, and we remain grateful for the actual superheroes, and we show a lot of solidarity for them. And I'm hoping that we're able to be in the physical world, but even if it doesn't happen as the reality unfolds with the cases, we're going to find ways, creative ways, to do this ourselves. All right. Rajiv, I'm going to need you to give me a heads up about any more questions. Okay. Some of the skills that we can hone during lockdown. Thanks, Asmita. Okay, for adults, I definitely think you can catch up on reading. If you enjoy your fiction or you enjoy your love stories, pick up documentaries. A lot of it is available online. For example, Amazon has opened it up to say that if you were ordering books, today all the ebooks are available for you. I use Netflix to watch a lot of these series like David Letterman. It's very interesting when you hear it from the ex-president of the United States, a big one for me. Catch up on documentaries, things like conspiracies, World War II. Just find out about history. The other skills that you can definitely pick up on, and I think I have, is cooking. It doesn't come naturally for me, never did. Everyone who knows me knows I can manage with my tea and salad. I've discovered that that's not normal for 21 days in a row. You're going to have to eat healthy only because your immunity has to be built up. If you're going to combat COVID-19, all the doctors will tell you, you need to be fit, exercise and eating right. So I've picked up on, cooking skills. I cannot say that I will ever make it to MasterChef, but it's definitely something that you can pick on. Things like indoor gardening, baking. I've actually started baking my own bread, which I never thought was possible. I've actually picked up on my IT skills. This was a great opportunity for me. I'm pro technology, and I think I know. I get fascinated by anything new, but I realized that I didn't know all the tricks of the trade, and I'm certifying myself in a lot of courses. Pick up on the IT skills. I think that is the one thing you can do, and it's all available at a very cost-effective rate. Try and write a few more posts. I think social media can help you with that. I think those are some of the skills that you can, definitely pick up on. Okay, could you share some tips on prioritizing and planning for us so that we can unleash the superheroes in ourselves? Okay, Divya. So, Divya, if you can just type, are you a working professional, stay-at-home mom? So I know. Here's what I'm going to put out. It is not a diktat. It is not something that you will follow religiously, because the one thing we've learned about COVID-19 is that it has to be a flexible routine, the stuff that works for you. I'm just going to share what I do, and it's working for me. I get my, which I never got before, I get my 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, which basically means I try to wake up early in the morning simply because I enjoy the beautiful sunrise from my apartment. I think it just helps me not think, which then was not a luxury I had. I was always on the go. So getting up in the morning, anything between 6:30, 7 is a great time to wake up. You know why? Because it'll give you those 12 to 14 hours in the day. It'll exhaust you, so you sleep on time, which is anything between 9:30 to 10:30, and that's honestly an optimum time. I do my house chores. I try and get everything sorted out before I sit down with a cup of tea, which is why I said I'm consciously avoiding an excess of tea. I then look at the news. I definitely look at all the PDFs that come to me in different newspapers. I like to keep in touch with what's happening, business and otherwise. I then check WhatsApp and get onto the main TV channels, and then stop all that by 9:30 and get on my work calls. If you're not working and you don't have work from home, you can use that time to pick up on that one skill that you wanted to skill yourself. Anything between 9:30 and 11:30, give yourself that break, walk around. Like I've said, you've been on screen time too much. Face yourself. Those kids should be waking up anytime between 8 and 8:30. Those on virtual schools with flexible timings, let them sleep till 9:30. It is okay. On a normal school day, they do wake up at 6:30. Give them that luxury. You know what? You'll buy their loyalty when you do that. So try and have lunch by 12:30. So if you're cooking, give yourself half an hour to 45 minutes to whip something up. Try and eat as a family as far as possible. If you can, I really, really strongly urge you, have a quick walk after your lunch. Again, spend your time post lunch, anything between 1 to 4, dedicated to either if you're working from home or if you have to pick up a skill or read out, etc. Definitely indulge in a 1 hour exercise, anything between 5 to 6. Post 6 o'clock, give yourselves that entertainment. Watch something funny. There's enough on Comedy Central. Just watch something baseless, nothing profound. Watch the news again because it's very important to keep in touch with what's happening. Connect with your family around just before dinner time. Those are virtually as well. Try and lock down for yourselves by 9:30, 10 to 10:30. Give yourselves a Friday or a Saturday to party in your own way. Try and normalize as much as possible. I think a routine works. It's worked for me. I can safely say that in the last 14 days, I've stuck to it. Of course, I give myself flexibility on the day that I just don't feel like it. But you know what? I write it down, and then I motivate myself to say, you know what? It's a challenge. Come on, Fatima, just do it. And I have. So I hope this works for you. Right. Children with special needs. Thanks, Latika. Very, very difficult times for them. And my heart reaches out to all the children with special needs. This is where parents can actually get onto the chat groups, forums that are connecting children and families. Parents, please look at Facebook. And for this, there are lots of these private chat groups that are connecting parents with children with special needs, where there are behavioral therapists, counselors, etc. also moderated some of these sessions. I think the food, the physical activity in whatever form will work. I'm going to, request Latika to actually reach out to the special educators that are very, very active on Facebook to get specific activities, especially with occupational therapists, to give you quick tricks. Which they will use when you go to an OT center. You can actually do it at home with basic equipment around your house, even if you have balls, yoga mats, etc. How do you communicate with them? You're just going to have a lot of patience, and you're going to have to be consistent with your communication. Of course, you're going to be directed by your counselor and your therapist. So just keep maintaining that. And if you're having those panic attacks, do reach out to the therapist in case the kids are on medication as well, to alter them. This is not something that I can advise you on this forum. conclusively, but I'm going to lead you into discussing this with experts, and there are plenty on Facebook available if you would just research, or you can directly write to me on my Facebook, and I will direct you to the right channel. Right. Some practical tips by which children can pass their 20% daytime through meaningful ways. Practical tips. I think if they have the luxury of having their own rooms, or if it's a shared rooms, I think you're going to have to set a routine where children wake up. Like I said, I given my son flexibility to wake up at 9:30 because I think that's fine. It works for him. He's on task. That's my call and that's my decision. You may want your kid to wake up at 6:30, but from the time he wakes up, first thing first, he's in the shower, health routines. He's then making up his bed. These are meaningful activities. Please, this is nothing profound. But you know what? I've actually taught my son to do stuff independently, which perhaps as a mom I'd indulged in. You've finished, you've had a shower, your clothes in the laundry. He takes turns. We all take turns to do our laundry. Get them to use these gadgets, actual gadgets that are going to then make our life easy. A lot of time gets spent. I mean, you'll be amazed. 45 minutes will just go in this. 45 minutes away from screen. There you go. 5 hours already down to 4 hours. I insist on reading as a whole family. We do, and I'm not going to kill myself if everything is not available in a paperback. Reading even online is fine. Lots of free resources for that. Physical activity has to happen. So I know what my husband and son do. They run up and down the stairs because of social distancing. Common areas have a lockdown. We're not allowed to be assembling, more than 4 people at a time. And we do respect that senior citizens need more of that than we do. We use the stairs. We use our lobby areas in our own, landing areas like where the lifts are. We walk around the house. I invent ways of actually cleaning the closets every single day, reorganizing things. They can also help out with sorting out what to cook. I think cooking is a great stress buster. Get everyone in the kitchen. What's stopping the whole family to collectively put it? Guys, these are rationing times. You may not find every ingredient that you want to make that perfect dish. We're all improvising. Okay, you don't have onions, you use this. You don't have coriander, you try this. So you're creatively coming up with it. Google, research skills, figure it out. I don't know how to do it. We had a leakage in our bathroom. We couldn't call a plumber. We had to figure it out ourselves. That's when I first discovered how MSAIL is actually very useful. I Googled and there were 20 videos that told me how to sort it out. I never thought of doing this before. I would simply call the intercom and say, please, can someone come and help me? I think we're going to help ourselves. And guys, this is not for today, not for lockdown. I think this is for life because this is not going to go away. Please understand, we may be facing a few more lockdowns in our lifetime for sure. My best wishes to your family. Thank you so much, Rajiv. Thank you. And best wishes to all your families, all your little ones, your middle schoolers, your high schoolers, your extended family that are away in their own homes. I know my parents are living alone. I know my in-laws are living alone. And we can't wait for these lockdown times to actually bring them all to our house. But you know what? We use FaceTime. We use Zoom effectively to get everyone together. And I can see that happiness on my mother-in-law's face just to see my son every day. I'm on my chat with my father daily, which I never managed to do because of my hectic work schedule and his hectic work schedule. And we actually share jokes. That's our bonding exercise. I never knew my father had this incredible sense of humor. Maybe you'll discover something about your parents that you never do. And like I said, I'm still a daughter. I'm still a daughter-in-law. I have the luxury of having my husband and my child with me, so it's easy. We actually try and watch 2 movies as a family together. So this is a bit tricky. My husband wants to watch sport. My son wants to watch something related to murder mystery or something adventurous. I just want to watch your regular chick flicks, romance, feel good at the end of the day. So we find our mid path, and they've learned to watch my sob stories as well. It's a great way of getting everyone to discover something about each other. Thank you, Rajiv. If I can get a clue from you, are we taking any more questions? Thank you, Thomas. My worry is I tend to talk a lot, and therefore I should have been a little more alert when receiving your questions. I think the whole point was to have a conversation and address them. Right. And thank you, Entab, again. Like I said, it's a company that's been around for so many years. And I think its true worth is in what they're doing today, bringing all of us together. Do follow their magazine. I know I have become a huge fan. And let's see how we can bring more communities together and do stuff that helps us, which we never really had time because we had always something else to do. Thanks. Right. So on that note, if you have any queries, I have extended any support that I'm able to give as part of the Agarkar Centre of Excellence. If I lead you to the right direction, I think I would have played my part as someone who's a regular citizen. Like I said, we're not superheroes, but we can do our part. Thank you. Okay, I can still see a lot of them with their responses. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks, Sonia, as well. Suresh, yeah, I think you've left me with a very important note that I should have thought of. So this is Suresh reminding all of us that I think when we plan our routines, if we can actually say a little prayer each day for our families, for those in our city, for our country, for the world, privately, light a candle every day. What's stopping us? Um, there could be some positivity that comes out of it. I think we'll be a more emotionally secure nation. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks. Thank you.